Have you ever felt an odd sense of peace when someone suddenly cancels a visit? Or maybe a quiet tension crawling through your chest? The moment an unexpected knock hits your door, you freeze, not out of fear, but because something inside you shifts. And no one ever explained why. You're not rude, you're not cold, and you're definitely not broken. You're chosen, and what looks like avoidance to others is actually divine awareness. In today's message, I'm going to reveal 6 spiritual truths about why chosen ones often don't like having visitors in their homes. This goes deeper than personality. This is about energetic survival, about protecting the one place the world was never meant to touch, your sacred inner temple. If you've ever walked into your house and felt the air change after someone left, if silence doesn't just comfort you, it heals you. And if your home feels more like a spiritual sanctuary than a social lounge, then what you're about to hear will finally make everything make sense. You're not weird. You're wired to protect what most people can't even feel. And the reason you avoid random visitors might be the very reason you're still standing in a world that tries to drain your soul. So don't look away. Don't scroll, because what you thought was a flaw might actually be your supernatural signature. Stay until the end, because one of these truths will unlock a memory, a moment, a realization that shifts your entire perspective. And if you're already feeling seen, if something in your spirit is stirring even now, tap the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment 99 below. Why 99? Because spiritually, 99 means divine completion in progress. It's what God shows His chosen ones when they're almost at a breakthrough, but need to protect their peace to get there. Now breathe in deeply, because what's coming next will shake your soul wide open. Truth 1. Your home is a spiritual sanctuary. To the ordinary person, a house is a place to eat, to sleep, to entertain guests, and to pass time. But for the chosen one, your home is something entirely different. It's not just a place you live. It's a place where your soul goes to recover. While others may decorate their space to impress, you build yours to protect. Every object, every corner, every sound and silence, it all matters. Your space holds frequency. It holds memory. It holds divine coding that even you don't fully understand yet, but feel in your bones. You didn't choose to make your home sacred. It happened naturally, because you needed somewhere to exhale, somewhere to stop pretending, somewhere to collapse spiritually without being watched, judged, or drained. Out in the world, you're forced to carry armor, smile when you're hurting, shake hands with energies that feel wrong. Pretend you didn't feel the shift in the atmosphere when someone walked into the room. But when you step inside your sanctuary, the armor falls. Your soul drops to its knees and whispers, "Finally." So when someone knocks on your door uninvited, it's not just a visitor, it's a disruption. It's an energetic intrusion into a space that was never meant for chaos, noise, or casual conversation. People may think, it's just a visit. But they don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They don't know that in this space, you've cried until the heavens responded. You've battled demons in the stillness of your thoughts. You've received revelations that no human mind could have manufactured. This isn't a living room. This is holy ground. And when someone walks into your holy ground without reverence, without awareness, without spiritual alignment, it's as if they've stepped into your inner temple with muddy boots, tracking footprints on sacred floors. You've likely tried to explain it before. Sorry, I'm not feeling up to company today. Sorry, my house isn't ready. But the truth is, they're not ready. Not ready to be in the presence of a frequency this pure. Not prepared to enter a space where the spiritual realm is active, alive, and vibrating through the walls. And you know something most people don't. Every visit leaves an echo. Even the kindest soul carries weight. Their thoughts, their fears, their projections, they linger. They sink into your pillows, into your plants, into the very stillness you fought so hard to preserve. This is why you avoid small talk in sacred places. This is why you'd rather disappoint someone than disrespect your own peace. Because your sanctuary is not a waiting room for the world. It is a private chamber where heaven speaks to you in codes only the quiet can unlock. And here's the part that few will ever understand. The more spiritually awake you become, the more sensitive your environment becomes. The room begins to mirror your frequency. It becomes a portal, a place where downloads, visions, and divine strategy are released. And that is not something you casually expose to just anyone. So the next time someone asks why you're always at home, why you don't like visitors, why you need so much alone time, you can simply smile because they wouldn't survive the silence that saves you. And yet, there's something even deeper. Something most people have never realized about the Chosen One's home. A mystery buried in its energy field that changes everything once it's exposed. But we'll get to that soon. For now, stay with me. Because truth too will reveal something that most chosen ones don't even know about themselves. And once you see it, you'll never feel guilty about protecting your space again. Truth too. You feel people's energy like a thunderstorm. Most people walk into a room and see faces. You walk into a room and feel frequencies. You don't hear conversations, you decode them. You don't notice behavior. You absorb intention. And when someone enters your home, they bring more than just themselves. They bring everything they're carrying, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The Chosen One is not just emotionally intelligent. You are a spiritual sensor, a walking, breathing antenna tuned into the unseen. People bring in energies they can't see and wouldn't even believe in. But you feel them like thunder crashing in a silent room. That cheerful visitor, you feel the anxiety underneath their smile. That compliment, you sense the envy pulsing behind the words. That friendly drop-in, you detect the energetic chaos they left outside but didn't bother to clean off before walking in. To others, it's just a visit. To you, it's a storm system entering your energetic field. And it doesn't just touch you, it floods you. You've felt it before, haven't you? That sudden, unexplainable exhaustion. That mental fog after a 5-minute chat. That low-grade spiritual nausea that creeps in without warning and lingers long after the door closes behind them.
You've had to burn sage, light candles, open every window, and let the wind scream through the house just to shake off someone's leftover vibrational residue. And sometimes, even that isn't enough. You've had to pray, you've had to cry, you've had to sit in silence and let the divine realign you, because their presence fractured something in your space and in your spirit. But they didn't raise their voice, they didn't insult you, they didn't do anything wrong.
That's the catch, isn't it? The danger isn't always in what people say or do. It's in what they carry unknowingly. It's in the bitterness they never healed, the shadows they never faced, the demons they never confronted, now leaking into your sanctuary like toxic fumes. And you don't have the luxury of just ignoring it, because your body reacts, your heart pounds, your energy shifts, your spirit alerts you before your mind even catches up. Some people will call it overreacting. But this isn't imagination, it's spiritual instinct. You're not broken, you're wired for awareness. God didn't give you this sensitivity to shame you, He gave it to protect you. And yet, that same gift can feel like a curse when no one else around you sees the invisible war you're constantly fighting. You've tried to explain. You've said things like, something about them just didn't feel right. Or, I don't know why, but I'm exhausted now. And what do they say back? Maybe you're just tired. Maybe it's all in your head. But you know better. You've lived it. You've survived it. Because there have been moments, dark moments, where a single interaction almost disassembled your spirit, where one person's presence shook the foundation of your peace. And the worst part? They walked away untouched, while you were left scrambling to rebuild the temple inside your chest. That's why you stopped letting just anyone in. That's why you began protecting your space like it was life or death, because sometimes it literally was. But here's the hidden beauty. The reason you feel so deeply is because you are called to move in dimensions most people can't even see. You are tuned into divine currents that whisper warnings and truths only your kind can translate. Your energy is a compass. Your discomfort is a message. And when something feels off, it is. You're not sensitive. You're spiritually calibrated. And the more you honor that, the more power you unlock. But there's something even deeper most chosen ones still don't know. Because while you've learned to feel people, you haven't yet realized what your gift is truly designed to detect, and who it's been warning you about all along. But we'll get there, right after you hear what's waiting in Truth 3. Because it's not about visitors anymore. It's about what their presence forces you to become. Truth 3. Solitude isn't isolation. It's survival. There's a lie the world keeps trying to feed you. That being alone means you're lonely. That your silence is sadness. That your distance is dysfunction. But chosen one, you were never designed to blend in with the noise. You were born to thrive in the stillness. You don't avoid people because you're bitter. You avoid them because you're building something they can't see. Because sometimes, their voices drown out the one voice that truly matters, God's. Every chosen one knows this feeling, that pull to withdraw, to unplug, to retreat not because you're hiding, but because you're remembering who you are and what you're here to do. Your solitude is not a cage. It's a sacred recalibration. When the world becomes too loud, when your soul feels heavy, when your thoughts get scattered by the chaos of outside energies. You don't need a crowd. You need a portal. A place where divine instruction descends like rain, quietly, secretly, powerfully. And that place is your solitude. Because in the silence, your spirit starts speaking. In the solitude, your spiritual sight sharpens. You begin to discern what was blurring your vision. You begin to feel what your heart has been trying to say all along. And then, it happens. The downloads, the revelations, the visions, the inner corrections, the answers to prayers you didn't even have the words to ask. This is why you protect your alone time so fiercely. Because it's not alone at all. You're surrounded in that space, surrounded by presence, by guidance, by a frequency that only visits when the volume of the world is turned way down. So when someone interrupts that with a casual knock at your door, they're not just showing up. They're tearing through a spiritual veil you worked hard to create. They walk in looking for coffee. You were mid-conversation with God. They want to sit and chat. You were mid-download, receiving blueprints from heaven, but they don't know that, and you can't explain it. Because how do you tell someone, I wasn't just relaxing, I was aligning. I wasn't avoiding you, I was receiving divine intel. So instead, you shrink, you pause, you smile, and inside, you mourn the moment that was just stolen. Because once that sacred silence is broken, it's hard to get it back. The chosen ones don't just protect their solitude, they depend on it. Because the world doesn't just distract, it reshapes you if you're not careful. And the more time you spend out there, the easier it is to forget the shape of your soul. And let's be honest, you've already worn the mask, you've done the dance, you've played the roles long enough to know, fitting in costs too much. You weren't made to entertain, you were made to embody truth. And that truth, it doesn't shout, it whispers, but only to those who make space for it. So yes, your solitude might confuse them. They might call you cold, or distant, or too deep. But you've learned something most people never will. Being constantly surrounded can still feel like dying slowly. But solitude, real, intentional, spiritual solitude, that's where you come alive. And when you rise from it, you're not the same. You're clearer, sharper, more aligned, and sometimes more dangerous to darkness than you were before. But here's the secret the world doesn't want you to know. Your isolation isn't a weakness. It's a weapon, a divine shield that preserves your mission. And the more you embrace that, the more powerful you become. Still, there's one part of this solitude that even most chosen ones don't fully understand yet. A sacred shift that happens the moment you stop fighting your need for silence and start honoring it. We're getting closer to it. But before we get there, you need to hear truth 4, because solitude may be sacred, but the masks it helps you remove might be the very thing that's been draining your soul for years. Truth 4. Social masks exhaust you. Let's be honest. Most social interactions aren't real. They're rehearsals, roles, scripts. Be polite. Be pleasant. Don't make it awkward. Say something nice, even if you don't mean it. You've followed the rules. You've smiled through the discomfort. You've laughed at jokes that didn't land. You've poured tea while your spirit begged for silence. But chosen one, every time you fake a smile, something real inside you begins to flicker. The world expects you to perform, but your soul was never built for theater. You weren't made to entertain. You were made to illuminate. And there's a difference. The truth is, every normal visit requires you to wear a version of yourself that isn't entirely true. You nod when you want to pause. You host when you need to heal. You open your door when what you really need is a door that closes. This is why even short visits leave you drained. Not just physically, but spiritually disfigured. They leave behind more than crumbs on your table. They leave a residue of expectation, of false smiles, forced words, and the lingering ache of not being fully seen. Because when you wear a mask for too long, you start to forget the contours of your real face. And here's what makes it worse. People praise you for it. You're so sweet. You're such a good host. You're always so easy to be around. But inside, your spirit is collapsing. Not because you hate people, but because every interaction that requires you to shrink is violence to your essence. The chosen ones aren't antisocial. You're just allergic to artificiality. You long for depth, truth, stillness. But most visitors bring noise, small talk, performance, and they expect you to match their script. And you do. You've done it for years. Because you were taught that kindness means suppressing yourself. But now, you know better. Now, you're beginning to understand that protecting your energy doesn't make you rude. It makes you wise. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that bleeds just to keep the peace. Because when they leave, you're the one stuck picking up the pieces of a soul you had to twist to fit the moment. And maybe that's the part they'll never see. They don't see the exhaustion after the goodbye. The emptiness that lingers like fog in the room. The way you stand in the hallway afterward, staring into the air, wondering why you feel like something just got taken from you. They don't feel the need to smudge the air, to light the candle again, to sit on the floor and cry without understanding why. But you do. You've felt that more times than you can count. Because every time you say yes to social pressure, you're saying no to your own restoration. And one day, maybe recently, you reached a breaking point, where peace became more important than politeness, where authenticity mattered more than approval, where the risk of being called distant was worth the reward of being whole. And that's when something shifted. You stopped apologizing for not showing up. You started honoring the whispers in your chest that said, "Not today, not this time, not this energy." And if no one understood it, so be it. Because once you experience the cost of false connection, you start to crave the rarest currency of all, peace that doesn't require pretending. So yes, you say no more often now. You let the phone ring. You leave the door closed. Not because you're cold, but because you've burned enough of yourself trying to stay warm for others. And here's the part that still stings sometimes. They don't even notice. They come, consume your light, and leave. While you sit there, dimmed and drained. But not anymore. You've learned. You've awakened. And now, your soul has zero tolerance for the masks. Still, there's one more layer, one more revelation you may not have fully seen yet. Because while you're learning to protect your energy from others, there's something deeper that explains why your home reacts the way it does. Why the very walls seem to breathe when someone walks in. Why your spirit tightens, even before they speak. And that sacred truth, the truth behind the energy field surrounding your home, is waiting in Truth 5. Truth 5. Your house holds a living energy field. Your house is not just walls and furniture. It is not a neutral space. It is not just a place you live. Your house is alive. Every room has witnessed something sacred. Every corner remembers. The hallway knows your silence. The kitchen holds your whispered prayers. The bedroom carries the scent of your battles and your breakthroughs. You've cried in this space when no one was watching. You've dropped to your knees and asked heaven for answers. You've walked in circles, talking to God, pacing between windows and walls like a prophet in hiding. You've laid in bed, feeling the weight of the world, and felt angels surrounding you, unseen but unmistakably near. This place has absorbed you, and because it's absorbed you, it now reflects you. Your house has become a living field, an extension of your frequency, your spiritual blueprint, your divine imprint. It's not just where you dwell, it's where your soul takes its shoes off and becomes real. So when someone walks in with unconscious energy, when they bring chaos, projections, complaints, gossip, shallow small talk, jealousy wrapped in smiles, your sanctuary reacts. The air thickens, the light dims, your chest tightens, your thoughts scatter, your inner clarity begins to fade.
But they don't notice. They touch your crystals. They sit where you meditate. They move things without asking. They speak over the sacred silence like it's just another room in another house. But you feel it. Because the space knows. It knows when something foreign enters. It knows when vibration shifts. And it knows when a frequency arrives that is not meant to be here. This is why you get that sudden urge to cleanse after someone leaves. It's not superstition. It's not ritual for show.
It's recalibration. You open windows, not for air, but for energy. You light candles, not for scent, but for spiritual restoration. You sit still, not in exhaustion, but in realignment, because something was disturbed, and now you must bring it back into divine order. But here's the part even some chosen ones haven't realized yet. This living energy field doesn't just remember you. It protects you. It resists what isn't in alignment. It pushes back against energies that come to extract, infiltrate, or observe without understanding. And when someone incompatible enters, the field responds, not out of hostility, but out of preservation. Preservation of your clarity. Preservation of your frequency. Preservation of the invisible connection between you and the divine that lives in this space. You may think you're being overly sensitive, but the truth is, your space has developed an immune system. And just like your body rejects what is toxic, your home now does the same. Because it's no longer a random structure. It's a spiritual organism, a mirror of your growth, a shield for your soul, a temple that beats with the pulse of your purpose. This is why you now hesitate to invite people in. Because it's no longer just your house. It's your altar. And not every soul deserves access to what's been sanctified by fire. They don't know what you've released in these rooms. They don't know what you've survived in these shadows. They don't know what you've built with tears, silence, surrender, and sacred defiance. To them, it's a couch. To you, it's the place where you heard God's voice for the first time in years. To them, it's a table. To you, it's the altar where your spirit finally broke free from generational trauma. So no, you're not rejecting them. You're defending the frequency that keeps you spiritually alive. And the more you evolve, the more your space becomes territory. Territory where peace isn't a luxury, it's a law. where energy isn't casual, it's consecrated, where presence isn't permitted unless it serves your divine unfolding. But there's one more layer, one final truth that ties all of this together. Because behind your desire to protect this living field is a deeper instinct, a sacred knowing that what you're really protecting is you, and that truth will be fully revealed in Truth 6. Truth 6. Rejecting visits is a form of self-love. They may call you cold. They may say you're distant, strange, rude, even arrogant. But let them talk, because what they'll never understand is that you're not closing the door out of rejection, you're closing it out of reverence. Reverence for your peace, reverence for your process, reverence for the version of yourself that took years to rebuild. You see, there was a time when you let everyone in. You answered every call. You hosted with a smile. You said yes when your spirit was screaming no. And every time someone left, they took something with them. Not furniture, not food, but fragments of your energy, a little piece of your clarity, a sliver of your strength, a layer of your joy. And you couldn't figure out why you always felt so tired, so scattered, so ungrounded in your own space. Until one day, you woke up and realized they weren't stealing it. You were giving it away by saying yes to everyone but yourself. So now, when you say no, it's not an act of defiance. It's an act of devotion. Devotion to your healing, to your energy, to your alignment. Because refusing visits isn't about shutting people out. It's about letting yourself in, letting yourself feel, rest, breathe, be, without adjusting, without hosting, without pretending. There's something incredibly sacred about creating a space where your soul doesn't have to perform, where your nervous system doesn't brace for impact, where you can sit in absolute silence and finally hear yourself think. And if that makes you seem strange to people, so be it. Because peace will never make sense to those who are addicted to chaos. What they call distance, you call boundaries. What they call cold, you call clarity. What they label arrogance is actually you refusing to abandon yourself again. You've spent too long people-pleasing. Too long dimming your light just to make others comfortable. Too long mistaking hospitality for self-erasure. But now you've learned. Love without limits leads to spiritual bankruptcy, and you are no longer available for emotional overdrafts. You've outgrown the need to explain yourself. You've evolved past the guilt that used to creep in every time you said, "Not today." Because now you know, every no is a yes to something higher, to your spirit, to your sanity, to your sacred purpose. This is what divine maturity looks like, not just choosing solitude, but defending it like your life depends on it, because spiritually it does. So when you don't answer the door, when you don't reply to the message, when you choose stillness over social obligation, you're not being selfish, you're being sovereign. You're choosing to honor the divine within you, the one that whispers, "We cannot keep giving away what was meant to be protected." And the moment you fully embrace this, you stop apologizing for loving yourself out loud. Because rejecting visits isn't isolation, it's integration, it's alignment, it's the sacred discipline of someone who finally knows what they carry and refuses to let anyone disrupt it. But now, chosen one, now that these 6 truths have awakened something in you, there is one last revelation that must be spoken. It's not just about solitude. It's not just about visitors. It's about a divine reconstruction happening inside of you. A shift that will not only protect your peace, but activate your purpose. And that's exactly what we'll uncover. In the final conclusion, chosen one, you've always felt it. That invisible line between you and the rest of the world. That deep pull toward silence, toward stillness, toward the sacred unseen. They called it avoidance. You now know. It was alignment. They called it distance. But your spirit was simply returning home. You are not strange. You are set apart. You are not broken. You are built for revelation. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It's a spiritual sensor, a divine radar designed to detect what others ignore. Because not everyone is meant to feel what you feel. Not everyone is called to carry the weight you carry. Not everyone is chosen to guard the gates of their own sanctuary. But you are, and now you see it. Every closed door was a declaration. Every no you whispered was an act of holy war against chaos. Every time you chose stillness over performance, you weren't hiding. You were healing. Your home isn't just shelter. It's sacred technology. It receives from heaven. It recharges your power. It shields you while the world sleeps. You don't need to explain your solitude to anyone. You don't need to justify your silence. You don't need permission to protect your peace. Because you are walking in rare alignment. And that path doesn't come with applause. It comes with clarity, with purity, with fire. And now you are unstoppable. So let them think what they want. Let them knock. Let them wonder why you stopped showing up, why you don't open your door like you used to. The answer is simple. You no longer betray your own soul for the comfort of others. Because you've seen what happens when you give too much. And you've finally learned how to keep enough to live. Your energy is sacred. Your time is sacred. You are sacred, and from this moment on, you don't just protect your home, you consecrate it. Comment below, "My home is my temple." Let that be your declaration. Let the world hear it from your spirit, unapologetic, unshaken, unbothered. Because being chosen means walking differently, protecting deeply, and loving yourself fiercely. No more guilt, no more explaining, just peace, just presence, just power. This is your sanctuary, and from now on, you guard it like your destiny depends on it, because it does.